If there's a secret to a good golf swing, this is it. In the great golf swings that I've studied, there isn't an exact start and stop that together reverse the direction of the club from backswing to downswing. But there is a smooth, flowing transition. The arms, hands, and club all respond to the actions of the lower body, with the club head being the last thing that changes direction. In the transition, your arms and hands are passive. The first move is actually backward and down, and the club head sinks lower as your hips start to unwind. Your hands, wrists, and right elbow respond to the reversal of direction, then automatically drop into the proper slot by your right side. The step 5 checkpoint position actually looks a lot like step 3 in many respects. From a head-on view, the hands and club shaft look like they're passing through the same positions. The right shoulder helps determine the path of the downswing. If your right shoulder rocks down, all systems are go. Thanks to that shoulder, your right elbow can now drop into its proper slot and align with your right hip. This lowering of the right shoulder is a response to the legs initiating the forward motion. But if the first motion is initiated by your right shoulder out toward the ball, you have no chance to attain the correct positions at step 5. In a model swing, the hands and arms are passive during this step. They respond to the actions but don't initiate them. The right elbow appears to be glued to the right side just above the hip, and the left arm is fully extended from the body, straight. It's easy to see here that step 5 is a very connected position. Your hands and arms haven't run off, but are simply responding to the body motions. The downswing is inside or narrower than the backswing. Your wrists are in a fully cocked position. If the club gets outside your hands, then either you're casting, you're starting a releasing motion too soon, or you're exaggerating the initial rotation of the shoulders. Also at step 5, body weight has shifted back noticeably to the left. It has recentered as weight is shifting both forward and diagonally left. Your center will slide 7 to 12 inches toward the target between steps 4 and 6. This hip slide is a natural response to the lower body initiating the downswing. It happens automatically. If you check out the belt buckle on any top player, you'll see a good example of this powerful lateral movement. Due to the proper sequencing, the shaft should have fallen down along a path that, when seen from the target line, is defined by the tip of your shoulder and your right elbow. If the shaft stays in this corridor of success, the butt end of the club points to an extension of the ball target line. This means an on-plane swing and promises solid contact and good trajectory. Use this checkpoint list to make sure that you're in good position when you're starting down toward the ball. The right knee is kicked forward toward the ball or target line, and there's a substantial space between your knees. From the top, the right knee is kicked forward and toward the ball target line. If it doesn't, if it slides down the inside line here, then there's a great danger that you'll be sliding your hips far too much. If the right knee doesn't move at all as you come down, you'll tend to throw the club or cast too early. The hips have shifted a few inches in response to your weight shifting motion and reach the square position. The shoulders trail the hips. Now, if this doesn't happen, if there isn't this little motion to begin with, then the shoulders will actually catch up to the hips. Very bad. The head has stabilized at or slightly behind its address position. If it doesn't, if the head slides in front of your address position, then your only alternative is to throw your hands and the club at the ball. That's the only way you'll be able to hit it. You'll be out in front of the golf ball. the right heel is grounded, or at the most only a few inches off the ground at this point in the swing. It should never be extra high or way off the ground. That would indicate that you've shifted too quickly off your right side and that these knees are too close to each other at this point in the golf swing. The flexed left knee is forward of the left hip, and the left knee is more or less in a straight line with the middle of the left foot. The left leg is still flexed, but is just in the process of beginning to straighten. Now, if this doesn't happen, if we come down and the left knee doesn't move at all, then we're going to be hitting back off our right side, kind of falling back behind the ball to hit it. That's kind of the rock and block action that we don't want to have. Make sure when you practice this move down to step 5 that the club shaft is on plane. That means it lines up with your hands. It can be slightly inside or under the plane, that's okay for a draw, or slightly outside, which again is okay for a fade, but make sure that we're not way under the plane, coming too far from the inside, or way over the plane, coming too much from the outside. A good golf swing depends heavily on connection, but in the downswing we also have two instances of separation. From the top of the backswing, the hips sort of leave the shoulders. They get the running start, so there's a little separation right there. And then as we go down to step 5, or the delivery position as I call it, the hands separate from the shoulders. There's an increase here. The arms and hands separate and get away. Now, the negatives would be to go up to the top and stay together, or to have the shoulders and hips go at the same time. Both of these would be mistakes. My great friend Carl Welty showed me this delivery position about 25 years ago, and it's been a tremendous aid in my teaching and has really helped me show people how to get the right inside attack. From the top of the swing down to position 5, the right elbow is slightly visible underneath the left arm. This is very important. I'd like to show you that a few times. Now, the mistake would be to have the right arm on top of the left arm as you start down, which would be the right side too high, or your right arm extending too quickly on top and throwing the golf club from the top of the swing. As we start down, the club head is behind the body. Down to step 5. The opposite, the mistake would be for the club head to get out. Should make it very steep, and a bad mistake, very common, we see it very often. Many golfers will benefit by slowing down the turn back to the target. Sometimes it's useful to slow down the upper torso, other times the lower. And that would look something like this. From the top of the backswing, the problem we see is people start with their shoulders and they're opening up too quick, which throws the club on the outside. So one cue could be to keep your left shoulder in the shot a little longer, or keep the right shoulder back to allow the club to come down from the inside. Another problem we see is when the hips get too fast, they open up too quick. Well, when we do this, sometimes we need to feel a little slow down of the right leg and a slow down of the left hip. So when you start down, you feel like you're a little slower right here and you don't open that left hip up so quick. Either one of these tips will help you hit more from the inside. Now, even though I just showed you the negative effects along this checkpoint list, they are not definitive death moves. What I'm about to show you are. Club shaft tip over. That's when the shaft works out, or actually steepens on the downswing, tips out forward. Now, the club shaft is supposed to react to your body, and your hands are passive at this stage, so the shaft should work actually a little bit the other way. This is a very common mistake when the hands start the downswing and the club shaft moves out in a very steep angle of attack. When this happens, you either throw the club early, or the hands get so close to the golf ball there's really no powerful way to hit it. All you can do is flip your hands, the shaft will come in very steep, or you will actually pull the club down and take a very deep divot across the golf ball. Right elbow back. That's when your right elbow stays back behind your body as you start down. It's usually accompanied with the shaft falling too far to the inside and even having the club head underneath your hands at this stage. Now there's some real problems here. When you come in, your left arm is off your chest, of serious disconnection. You're coming way too far from the inside and your right elbow is trapped here. You're going to have to flip the club now to hit the golf ball or drag the club way inside out. So this is a very serious mistake. Body slide. When your body slides ahead of its address position, your head has gone forward, you are in a death position. Now this is normally caused by the legs not doing anything early on to initiate the downswing. So the legs go dead, the upper body drifts in front, and now you're past the golf ball. All you're left to do is to slap at the golf ball with your hands. Club face problems. From the top of the swing down through step 5, if the club face gets extremely closed or extremely open, we're dead. Let's look at extremely closed first. As we start down, if that club face gets shut, all we can do is hang on and block the ball down the fairway, which will be a major power loss, or if we release the golf club from here, the ball is going to go big time left. The other problem would be to start down with the club face wide open. And again, this is a very common mistake that I see. When that club face is open, we just are not going to be able to square the club face up. So the question is, how far right is this ball going? Now, if we hang on at all, it's going to go off the charts to the right. Otherwise, we're going to try and slap at it and square it up with our hands. Again, a huge power leak. Drill number 1 comes from a friend of mine, Ralph Terry. Ralph was a great pitcher for the New York Yankees and also played the senior PGA Tour. I was the head professional at Sleepy Hollow Country Club in Scarborough, New York in the late 80s and early 90s, and we hosted the senior tour event. When Ralph stayed with me, we'd go out in the backyard in the evening and play some baseball with my boys, and also we had a place to hit golf balls. So Ralph loved practicing in the evenings, and we would fool around with different things. One night he showed me a great drill to teach my boys for Little League Baseball, because they had a tendency to bail out. So he gave them a little check swing drill. And what they did is start with their feet together and step toward the pitcher and check their swing. And when they did that, the bat would fall down and they would be moving their body in the right sequence of action. So I thought about that for golf and made it the Ralph Terry drill for golf. And what we do is go up to the top and start down, but check your swing. But really feel like you're going to hit the golf ball. So make it an aggressive move. So it's up to the top, down. Up to the top, down to check point 5. And right here, we'd like to hold that club so it's parallel to the ground. Your hands are off your right leg. The right knee is kicking a little bit forward. The left knee is up on top of your left foot. You can do this in front of a mirror and get a great feeling of getting an inside attack. A lot of people will start in the wrong way, a little more with their shoulders, and they'll automatically see that club go to the outside. When you can do the check swing drill, the Ralph Terry drill, you'll be well on your way to feeling the right move down to impact. Now the second drill is a split grip drill, or the right arm and right finger drill. And we do it this way, up to the top, and then I just simply take my right hand off the club and put my right forefinger and thumb on the shaft. There's really no pressure here at all. Then what I do is show people that as they start down, if they start down with that little shift move and then the rotation, along with that right shoulder going down, it's just a little move like this, the club will fall right into a beautiful position. There's no pull in the left arm trying to drag the butt of the club at the target. It's simply letting the club fall down. So I'll let you look at that a few times. No pressure at all in my left arm. Right up to the top, down. Those two drills should help you really sense how to get through step 5. There you have step 5. This tremendously important area of the golf swing, from the top of the swing down to delivery, the change of direction. Few things to remember. When we start down, there's definitely a lateral shift, and the lower body starts the action. Then as we do that, the club falls down into the delivery position, halfway down. Right elbow out in front of your body, and you're in perfect position to hit a long, straight golf shot. Now, let's move to step 6, the moment of truth, impact.